This is the new Solar P1 3.0, the least expensive dual motor electric scooter that Solar makes, but also the fastest electric scooter we've ever tested at this price point, beating out the previous champion, which happens to be the Solar P1 2.0. This week, we're fully testing and reviewing the seated version of the P1 3.0. So we've got the real world range, plus find out how fast you can go for $1,300. And we'll put it up against the steepest hill in San Francisco. Solar is a British electric scooter company whose US headquarters are based in Los Angeles, California. Their new P1 3.0 includes dual 1200 watt motors, which give it a ton of power and speed. And it also comes with a 52 volt battery that's almost twice the size of the one in the Ninebot Max G2. So the P1 3.0 has good range too. All right, let me take you through the hardware of the scooter. So this design of scooter has been around since basically the dawn of scooters. One of the pluses is flexible ride height. So you can adjust the handlebars, up and down. There's quite a bit of flexibility there. But also because this gets shorter and the bars fold, this gets really compact when folded. So this also comes in really handy when you're riding sitting down because, if you've got the bars all the way up, it's a little close to your face when you're steering, but you can take it even further. You can take it in the middle section or the bottom and ride around like this. One side note is if you're riding one of these and it feels like the steering is wandering a little bit, that means you forgot to clamp down this clamp right here. You really need to do that, and then your steering feels great. So that brings me to one of the options we have on this scooter, which is the seat. This costs $55, and I really love the way they've done it here. It has a shock absorber built into the seat post, and so if I bounce on it, it adds some extra shock absorption there, and it doesn't have two springs on either side of the seat like we've seen on some of these, and you don't want that. When you see the two springs, you're gonna get a seat that wobbles back and forth and feels really unstable around corners. So I really like the way they've done this and the overall width of the seat. When you're not using it, you just pop this off and set that somewhere, and then the seat post folds down. And you can ride this standing up, and it doesn't get in the way very much. Now, if you want to get it out of the way altogether, it's pretty easy to take off. They're just 4 bolts. You take these off, and then put them back in after you've removed the seat post. While I'm talking about tools, I should point out that they sent along a great tool set with the scooter, and this comes, of course, with all of the Solar scooters that we've seen. And this wrench is kind of important because one thing you want to make sure to tighten down when you're setting everything up is this bolt right here. I did find that if you hit a big bump and this bolt isn't tight enough, then the seat can end up doing sort of an instant adjustment on you. So get that one nice and snug. So the whole theme with this scooter is that it's a little bit more hands-on, but it gives you a ton more flexibility and performance. So the display is really easy to read in bright sunlight, and the trigger throttle sits nice and close to the lever. I mean, you can adjust it higher if you want to, but I really like it like this, and you can see that on long rides, your hand just sits in a really relaxed position, which is not always the case with trigger throttles. And then let me show you the riding modes. I'm gonna pop it up on the stand for this one. So in eco mode, it spins up to about an indicated 20 miles per hour, and then drive mode spins up to 30, and in sport mode, it spins up to 49, but we found out in the real world that the real top speed is 41.4. You've also got the ability to go single motor with just the front motor, single motor with just the rear, or dual motor. But I really recommend running dual motor all the time because running single motor just stresses out your motors and controllers, and any range gain that you see at all from running single motor is only because it's slowing you down. If you're at the same speed in dual motor, you're gonna get the same range or better. The P1 3.0 does away with the orange and red turbo and dual motor buttons that you got on the P1 2.0. It's all right in the controls that we just showed you. But there is one additional feature in the P1 3.0, and that's you get launch mode. And it's basically just a P setting that gives you even more aggressive starting. But the sine wave motor controller is so smooth that even in the most aggressive mode, it's still super rideable. And the sine wave motor controllers come standard on the P1 3.0, which is what makes this the fastest scooter we've tested at the $1,300 point, is that you don't have to buy any of the options to get the full power and speed out of the P1 3.0. So the base model comes with no seat, and it doesn't have the Tron lights, but it does have the sine wave motor controllers. And the Tron lights are down here. They come in 5 different colors, and we'll show that on the website. And they look a little bit different from the ones on the P1 2.0, but they still look really cool. And another difference is that they've updated the headlight on the P1 3.0. It's got this cool little dual LED headlight that's bright lighter, easier to aim, and has a better pattern on the wall, and we'll show you that. So this one over here is the 2.0, and this is the 3.0, and you can just see how this beam is gonna light up a larger section of the road. The headlight switch itself is the same on the 3.0 and 2.0, but there's a different horn attached to the horn button now. That's the 2.0. That's the 3.0. I think I like the 3 better. So we've got mechanical disc brakes front and rear, and we'll tell you more about those later, but they feel good and they don't take much finger effort to stop. These grips aren't my favorite. They rotate around a little bit when you're riding, so there's no clamp to lock them into place. Now they do have optional grips on the Solar site, and I've also let the guys at Solar know that this kind of bugs me, so I'd expect that we might see an update here pretty soon. There's a rubber deck now instead of a metal one with grip tape, and I really like the feel and the look of it. And it's also gonna be a lot easier to keep clean. And the scooter's got an IP54 water resistance rating, so it's gonna be resistant to, you know, light rain and that sort of thing. But on all scooters, just always avoid riding through water that's taller than the sidewalls of your tires, and that way you won't get water going into your motors. If you're gonna do any riding in really hard rain, it's a good idea to go around and try to waterproof your scooter a little bit, because none of the scooters that I know of have warranties that cover water damage. Just like before, the P1 3.0 comes with big, chunky 10-inch tubeless tires, but now they come with sealant pre-installed, so if you get a puncture, you probably won't even get a flat tire. And it comes with a 2-amp charger, so you're gonna charge in about 9 hours, but there are 2 ports down here, so if you use 2 chargers, that cuts the time down to 4.5. I forget sometimes how fun it is to ride a seated scooter. It's just not something I always think of reaching for, but then when I do, it's just so much fun because, you know, you don't have to think about it as much. I don't have to anchor myself, you know, when I grab a fistful of the throttle. You know, I'm riding one-handed right now, and it's just, you know, a pretty chill ride because you're just not having to concentrate on balance all the time. And the Solar P1 3.0 is a bit more stable than most scooters when you stick a seat on them. It's just a really smooth and strong throttle. It's also pretty efficient. You can't really hear that much because I'm going downhill right now, but like, the motors are just whisper quiet, and one, it's just nice from an aesthetic point of view. It's nice to have a quiet scooter, but 2, it means that, you know, the energy that would be making noise is getting to, you know, help me move forward. It means it's a more efficient scooter. We've got this full suspension, and we've got the big tubeless tires, but then when you add in the shock absorber, and here comes a bump, 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 I just stay in the seat. You don't have to rise up out of the seat for a big bump like you would with some seated scooters. The combination of the big, chunky tubeless tires, suspension, and just the overall geometry give this a really, really nice handling. I'm, you know, don't normally like go zigzagging back and forth, one-handed downhill at 30 miles an hour, 26 miles an hour, but it's just a great handling scooter. It's got a great combination of throttle response and handling, and that's true whether you're seated or standing up. And it just makes you want to kind of go sport ride up in the mountains like I'm doing right now. The suspension is a bit stiff, especially in the front, but I found a hack that smooths it out a bit, and I shared it with the guys at Solar, so I expect that that's something that will be improving very soon because it's just a really simple modification. And I can tell you about it in the comments if you're curious. Being the holiday season, the prices we're going to show you in this video are subject to rapid change, so check the links down below in the video's description for the best price. And right now, we've got a coupon code from Solar that's better than anybody else's. The P1 3.0 set a new top speed record for this price point, clocking 41.4 miles per hour in a 2-direction speed run on flat ground. That's 1.4 miles per hour faster than the 2.0, but 0.1 mile per hour slower than the EQ, which costs $150 more. Range is also very good considering how strong the performance is. We covered 27.7 miles on our hilly urban range test course, riding a little faster than the surrounding cars the whole time. Now, I should point out that while it beats the EQ by 1.4 miles, I'm pretty sure they have identical drivetrains, like the motors, the controllers, the batteries are all the same. The difference here is that you get slightly better range when sitting down, and I was seated the whole time. Here's what it looks like when the P1 3.0 accelerates to 30 miles per hour in 7.5 seconds. Surprisingly, a little bit slower than the P1 2.0, though that may have had to do with the folded seat post interfering with how hard I could kick off at the start, but it's still plenty quick. Hill climb was outstanding, reaching the top of our hill in 8.6 seconds, the fastest at this price point. So just for fun, I decided to try something harder. Here we go, the fastest $1,300 scooter we've ever tested versus the steepest hill in San Francisco. and it flew straight up with no problem, averaging about 9 miles per hour. That's faster than most people can run on flat ground. Braking is excellent, requires very little effort at the brake lever, and is extremely easy to control at the limit, even though it uses mechanical disc brakes rather than hydraulic like the Solar EQ. We detected a little bit of squeak here and there, but it was fairly typical for this type of brakes. Braking performance for the P1 2.0, 3.0, and Solar EQ all came out within 10 inches of each other, with the EQ's hydraulic brakes allowing it to stop a couple inches shorter than the P1 3.0.
This thing is no lightweight, but is actually pretty portable. Let's see what it's like going into the trunk. Power it off, because we don't want it on while it's in the back of the car. I'm gonna loosen this. Oh, drop these guys, pull them out and down, out and down. It gets nice and small. Push the button, drop that down. I'm gonna push one more. Boom, all the way down. You can lock this into place or not. Now we'll come around and we're gonna undo this one first. It's counterintuitive. You undo that one first, and then I'm gonna put the side stand, and then release the safety catch. And then the safety catch is also what locks it into place right there. So now we can pick it up by the stem. And again, it's no lightweight, but you know, it's pretty compact because it actually gets shorter when you fold it. The front wheel tucks in a little bit. Tuck that in there. Scoot it over a little bit. And there we go. In the car.
The Solar P1 3.0 does well on our new reliability metric, scoring an 8.5 out of 10. It's bolstered by a 2-year warranty, tubeless tires that come with pre-installed sealant, a ton of parts and accessories available on their website, and a design that's pretty easy to work on and customize. For example, all of the electrical connectors, except for the main motor cables, are plug and play. The score's pulled down a little bit by the use of generic cells in their batteries, but I definitely wouldn't expect Samsung or LG cells on a scooter of this price and with this performance level. So what other scooters do we like at this price point? Not long ago, there were almost no high-performance dual-motor electric scooters at this price, but 2023 has been a very good year. We recently reviewed the Solar EQ, a scooter with basically the same performance, a slightly more modern look, a more modern stem latch, and hydraulic brakes, but it costs $150 more, and there's no option to add a seat. Then there's the Kaabo Mantis V2. It's also more modern, slightly stronger acceleration, but slightly lower in top speed. The one area where it's less modern though is that it doesn't have tubeless tires or tire sealant. And then there's a relatively new dual motor performance scooter from Gotrax called the GX2. It's got a little less performance per dollar, a much more modern feel, and as far as I know, no seat. In fact, the Solar P1 3.0 is the only one on this list that has an option for a seat. So putting aside all of the specs and all of the metrics, and if we just look at the riding experience, Solar's P1 3.0 might be the most fun you can buy for the price, with or without the seat. It just has a really nice balance of power, handling, and throttle control. And the power isn't overwhelming like some of the 60-mile-per-hour plus scooters that we've been testing. So I feel like it's also an appropriate choice for new riders. But it's also got enough power that even if you ride a lot, you're really unlikely to outgrow this scooter. If you made it this far into the video, you should definitely subscribe, because every week we make 1 or 2 more videos just like this one. And while you're at it, you can really help us out by hitting the like button. I'm Paul from Rider Guide. Enjoy your ride.